welcome to Big Boy Bigger Dreams, episode 23. I cannot believe there are 23 of these that exist in the world. That's pretty incredible. Today's episode is called Don't Be Sad, I Know You Will, which is a quote from a song, and I will talk about that at the end when we get to the music recommendations. Anyway, well, yes, welcome to Big Boy Bigger Dreams. My name is Eden. I am the big boy with the bigger dreams. This is a plogcast, which, if you can't infer that from the amazing wordplay that I've done there, it's a podcast log. You remember vlogs, you remember blogs. Listen's a plog. So it's a podcast where I journal being in London, which at the minute I am not. I'm actually currently in Stoke-on-Trent in a shed outside my parents' house. This is a shed that me and my dad built straight after I finished university, just as a place to come and do work, come and drum, come practice, come record, anything like that. I used to have a big desk set up over there. Yeah, good times. I haven't really, then obviously I moved away, so this shed only gets used every once in a while. It's mainly now just a big storage shed, basically, which I feel bad because it's a really great space. I really like being in here. There's a cool heater that we put in. I've got some baffling. Me and my dad built this set of shelving here, this big set of shelving. Yeah, good times. Good times had in this shed. Anyway, let's let's go to what I did today. Yeah, let's just get straight into what I did today. Let's make this a real plog, a real log of my life. So today I actually went to the cinema. I went to the cinema twice. So I first went to see The Holdovers, starring Paul Giamatti, which I loved. I honestly thought it was incredible. I really, really enjoyed the film. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was sad. I thought it was inspiring. I thought, it was devastating, but it was really, really good. I really, really enjoyed it. I really, really thought it was a really, really remarkable flick. I had a really good time. I thought Paul Giamatti especially was just blindingly good. I thought he was wonderful. It was a real, I had a really good time. And then in between, I went to the gym, and then and got swole, as you can see, or maybe you can hear the muscles. If you're listening to this only in audio form, maybe you can hear my muscles sort of popping out of my cardigan here. Is this a cardigan? This is a jumper, I guess. I've got my notes here, by the way. I'm looking down at notes because I make notes, believe it or not. And then after I went to the gym, I went and got myself a little bit of food, and then I went to see Poor Things. This was all at the Odeon in Stafford, which isn't too far away from my parents' house. A really good Odeon. It's one of the Lux ones, so all the seats are the recliner seating. 10 out of 10. Really like that cinema. And I actually had an embarrassing incident at that cinema once where I went to go see, I think it was Into the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse, the first Spider-Verse movie, and I'd booked a ticket to go see it, and then I got to the cinema, I got there at the right time, and I went up to my seat and someone was sat in it, and I said, "Oh, I'm really sorry, mate, I think you're sat in my seat," which I think is ridiculous. Why are you sitting not in your right seat? But then he produces his ticket that says he is sat in the right seat. I'm like, fuck, what's happened? So I go out to the like reception or what, the ticket table, and I say, "Hey, I think someone's double booked our seats because we both got the same seat." And then we look at my ticket, and I was a day early. Oh, I felt like a big, big old moron. That was very, very silly, but I digress. So I went to see Poor Things, the new Yorgos Lanthimos movie with Emma Stone. Wow. That was it. Yeah, I think in terms of movie, I got a lot out of The Holdovers, but I think Poor Things was like a more monumental movie. I thought like everything about Poor Things, like the cinematography, the costume, Emma Stone, all of the choices she was making, which were just insane and perfect, and just the way the story was told, everything about it, the music. Oh my god, the music was insane. The music was incredible. Made it a much more like it felt like a more monumental, more landmark film than The Holdovers, which was a lot smaller in scale, a lot more intimate in scale. But I do think that I maybe personally got more out of The Holdovers. I think I connected to it on an emotional level, whereas I think with Poor Things I didn't really connect to it on an emotional level, but I was along for the journey and just bewildered and beguiled by just masterful filmmaking. I feel like Willem Dafoe's character is maybe what we wanted Cillian Murphy's character in Oppenheimer to be, like a troubled scientist working and doing this creation, but instead of the atom bomb, it was a woman he'd made. Although it was a woman. I mean, this isn't spoilers. This is literally the start of the movie. It's a woman jumps off a bridge and she's pregnant, and they take the brain of the pregnant baby and he puts it in the head of the woman. So Bella Baxter, Emma Stone's character, is in the body of her mother, but is actually the daughter. Which is bonkers. It's such a bonkers conceit, but it just leads on to this fantastical, beautiful journey. Dead good. Had a really good day in terms of movies. I definitely came out of The Holdovers feeling a bit emotion, a bit like, not emotion, but I just felt like everything felt more. You know what I mean? Like I felt like I was sat in my feelings for a moment. I felt like everything felt deeper. You know what I mean? I was having thoughts and they just felt stronger than thoughts usually do. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that movie made me really receptive to my emotions and to my feelings and how I feel and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Oh, what a brilliant day for movies. Ugh. Anyway, let's talk about some other stuff that I've been doing since I last did one of these, which was 2 weeks ago. I am sticking very strictly to the schedule because now it's past midnight, so today is technically release day. I was going to record this yesterday, which I guess I am in one way. I haven't gone to bed yet, but I want to keep to this schedule. This is the third week in a row, the third week of 2024 that I am keeping to this schedule. Not third week in a row, but third fortnight in a row. So I'm keeping to it. I'm going to keep to it. You know, those who doubt me, I'll get you. Anyway, I started teaching. I started my teaching job. I think I may have already done a day last time I spoke on here, but it's really been wonderful. It's been so good. So I mean, annoyingly, I've got a job with teaching for the Barnet Education Service, and it's so far away from my house because I live in Greenwich, and so that's southeast London, whereas Barnet is like northwest London, northwest. And so yeah, it takes me like an hour and a half to get there, and if I think next week one of my students I'm starting with at 8:45, so I'm going to be having to leave latest my house at 7:10 latest. So that's a stress. But what then I do like is that then I finish teaching at 3:10 no matter what. That's great. Love that. You know, I'm just have to be there early, leave at 3:10. The rest of the afternoon's mine, the evening is mine. And yeah, I mean currently, it's going to be a lot for the next couple months until the end of March, because I'm basically teaching all day Monday, working my day job Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, teaching all day Friday. So that's going to be a lot. But then the aim is that once I've finished my day job at the end of March, I'll go to 3 days of teaching, and then I need to start figuring out other work as well, probably, because unfortunately with teaching, it doesn't really happen over term time, especially when you teach in a school, like what I do, even though it's peri teaching. So unless I speak to the parents and see if they want lessons over summer or Easter or whatever, I won't get paid for that time. So that's a concern. And I'm working through that concern, you could say. And yeah, so I mean, one thing that I've noticed is that the few days that I have done the teaching, I've been able to get up early. So what I'm doing is usually getting up at 6:30, running upstairs for a shower, and then just leaving. And you know what? I can do it. I can totally do it. And I think the reason I can totally do it is because I absolutely love teaching. I love it so much. Like, a student comes in, we work through what we've been working on, or if I haven't met them yet, I'll introduce myself and we get them drumming. And it feels so great. Like, I love that interaction. I love being there with them. I love teaching them. Love getting things across to them. Yeah, really, really wonderful. I'm really, really enjoying it. I mean, it's quite full on because it's a lot of students in a day. Because they get half an hour lessons and I basically don't have a break. But that's kind of okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay as long as I get like a 10-minute break just to grab a cup of tea. But I love it, and I think the kids are great. I'm really excited to be working with the kids. There's some really, really promising students. Yeah, banging, very, very happy. So it just kind of goes to show that when you love what you do, getting up in the morning is way easier. Way easier. Like, it's like chalk and cheese. Like, I remember last week I worked on the Monday, and then I had to do my day job Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And on the Monday, I was waking up at 6:30 and I'd left my house by 7:05. But the Tuesday, I, do my day job and I sort of maybe got in for like 10. And it's just, yeah, that's just how it is. It's hard. Yeah, but I mean, talking about other work that I love doing, I had some gigs last week. So I had 3 ceilidhs. So for those of you who might not know what a ceilidh is, a ceilidh is a traditional Scottish form of folk dancing. I think there are also English ceilidhs. I think originally it might be sort of like a Celtic, Gaelic, I don't know, something ancient, traditional Scottish thing. But basically, a few years ago, I think it was after university. My friend Giles, who we might be watching, hi Giles, he had met this guy, Michael. Hi Michael, if you're watching. I don't know if you watch this, Michael, but hello. And Michael runs a ceilidh band, and so Giles and Michael had met playing on a show, I think, and then Michael had got Giles in to play with the ceilidh band, and eventually they needed a drummer at some point, so they got me in. I got more and more gigs with them until eventually Michael taught me how to call the dances. Because it's a bit like line dancing, if anyone's been line dancing. Basically, my job when I turn up to a ceilidh is I play drums, but then also I teach a ceilidh dance. They do the dance and we play, and then we do that for the evening. So various different dances. You've got your Canadian barn dance, your Gay Gordons, your Dashing White Sergeant. On Thursday night, we played at the Union at Manchester Metropolitan University, and it was so much fun. It was part of Culture Fest, is what they called it, which it was basically like a refresher event. So that was their Freshers Week for January starters. And I think there was a Bhangra group, Bhangra ensemble dancers playing before us, and then we came on and did a ceilidh because it was also Burns night. So a lad in a kilt came and did a poem, a Robert Burns poem, and because it's Burns night, obviously. And then we played, and it was wonderful. They were so into it. I was a bit worried because I think a lot of the students there were international students, and I think there could have been a potential language barrier, which when you're trying to give clear instructions on how to do a very specific dance, that can get in the way. But if there was any language barriers, which I couldn't tell there was, they pushed through it with enthusiasm. And we had so many people dancing. I mean, we did a Virginia Reel at one point, which is groups of 8 people, and we had 8 groups, so that's 64 people dancing at once. Which, you know, some weddings and parties I've done, we've had like 10 people dance the whole evening. You know what I mean? Like it's rough sometimes. Sometimes it's amazing. Like I think Kieran, hello Kieran. I think you might be watching / listening. Kieran and I were on that gig, and Kieran said that it was possibly the best one he's ever been on, and I think it's definitely top 1 or 2. But actually, I did a couple of New Year's Eves with the National Youth Orchestra. So the Tartan Trio came and did the National Youth Orchestra. The first year I did it, I didn't call. Someone else called. But then the next year I did it, I did call. And you think to yourself, oh, the National Youth Orchestra, they're here on a residential. It's a load of 14 to 18-year-old kids. They ain't going to want a Kaylee. They're going to think they're way too cool for that. Nah, they love it. They were so into it. Like, it was so much fun because like they all understood the instructions and the rhythms and everything. It was just really, really wonderful, and they were just so into it and just loving it and cheering, and they were treating us like a rock band. It was amazing. Yeah, really, really good. So we had that gig on Thursday evening. Then on Friday evening we had a gig at RAF Valley with it was a Burns night celebrated by some RAF, and I think other branches of the military were there as well. But it was just like a dinner drink thing they had, and then they came and Kaylee with us. And that was fun, although it was over in Holyhead, which is quite far away from my parents' house. So which I've been using as a base this week. And then last night, Saturday night, I did a gig in Preston, which was just a classic wedding. And I didn't have to call on Saturday evening because my friend Katie called. Katie, who is actually Scottish. That's the thing. It's a traditional Scottish dance. And I am English, which, you know, I think some Scottish people might take not offence to. I don't think I'm like appropriating necessarily. First of all, I have Scottish heritage. And second of all, there are English Kayleys, which are very similar to Scottish Kayleys. But also, I was taught by a Scottish person how to do it properly, whatever. But, and also, not going to lie, I'm really good at calling. I love calling. I had a Scottish guy in a kilt at the RAF thing come to tell me at the end, he was like, you're a really good caller. Even though you're English, you're an amazing caller. And I was like, oh, that's really nice. Thank you. I love calling. I really do. I love it. I really love working with a crowd, getting them to dance. I just think it's so much fun. It can really be so much fun. Some Kayleys can be dire because people don't dance and don't want to dance. And, you know, I had one once where we were playing this birthday party, and we did the first dance and only like 3 couples danced. And then the next dance, I kept trying to get people up to come and do the dance. And eventually someone came up to me and was like, listen, mate, listen, it's not a dance lesson, yeah? It's not a dance lesson. Just play the music and we'll dance. And it's like, no, that's kind of what it is. It is just a dance lesson. That's what a Kaylee is. Like, I teach you Kaylee dances and you do the Kaylee dances. That's what this is. Sorry that's what you booked. But yeah, so I really love calling. It can be, like I say, they can be dire. You can have the lowest, you know, some of the lowest lows on a gig if people don't dance. But then the highest high is better than most other function bands work I've ever done. Because if you get an entire room just loving it and into it and dancing and having a great time, oh, it's the best. Oh, it's absolutely the best. I might start a Kaylee night in London, maybe like the Greenwich Kaylee or something. I think it'd be really fun. I think it'd be a really good way to keep my chops up, for one. And also, I've never done a Kaylee where people have paid to go to a Kaylee. As in, I usually do weddings or birthday parties or just events that people were already attending. They're not attending because it's a Kaylee. It'd be pretty amazing to do one where people are there because they actually fully want to Kaylee and have taken it upon themselves to go to a Kaylee. So yeah, maybe I'll start one in London. Maybe if you know of a venue that would like to do Kayleeing, get me in and I'll come and Kaylee with you. It'll be great. So that's work I did this weekend. I also last week sent off a final thing for a piece of music I've been writing. I sent off a pretty full draft of another piece this week. I need to send that off the full version by this Wednesday. But this week I'm actually on a show in Manchester. I'm on an Arden theatre show. So the Arden Theatre School, or the Arden School of Theatre, whatever you want to call it. I used to like calling it the Arden. I don't know why. Just makes it sound fancier. But no, it's the Arden Theatre School. I think it's part of UCEN or UCEN College of Manchester. I don't know. It's a theatre school, and I've done a load of shows with them in the past. I did, back in like 2018, maybe was the first time I ever played with them. I did 9 to 5 with them. I've done Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. I did Pippin. I've done Addams Family with them. I did another one recently, Spend. And then this week we're doing one called 43,200, which is a collection of songs written by Robert Purvis, who is certainly the person who founded the musical theatre course and the vocal course at the Arden. And so it's going to be a load of fun. I'm quite nervous because apparently some fairly important theatre-y people are going to be in the audience. And frankly, right now, my ambition is to, either dep on the West End, if someone needs to, a dep, someone should just step in every now and again, or to get a chair. I mean, a chair at the West End would be banging, but more realistically, a chair on a tour, that would be sensational, to be honest. That would be amazing. So if I can get myself into the people who actually fix these bands, let's go. I think that would be top tier, to be honest. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I think it'll be good. And I'm excited because I'm seeing some friends. I've got friends on the show with me, but then also I'm just meeting up with friends while I'm up north, which I'm excited about. I've already seen Kieran and Katie and Jack because of the Kayleys, but I'm seeing my friend James, my friend Ben, my friend Tongi, my other friend James. It's gonna be nice. Let's try and see Sam as well. So I'm also nervous about something else this week. So I think on Tuesday, my mother and I are probably going to go see my granddad again. I haven't seen him since Christmas Eve. I saw briefly my nan this morning because she'd come over for a cup of tea with my aunt and uncle. But yeah, so I'm a bit nervous to see him. I hope he's doing it. He was all right last time I saw him. He wasn't too in distress or anything. But yeah, it's hard. It's late stage dementia. He's got no idea what's going on. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I don't know if he's struggling. Like, I don't know how he's perceiving the world. Like, if it's in a positive way or in a negative way. I just know that it's a bit like grieving is entirely selfish. And let me clarify what I mean by that. When you grieve someone, you're grieving the fact that you don't get to hang out with them anymore, you don't get to see them anymore. And ultimately, when someone's died, your grieving can't help them because they're gone, they don't exist anymore. So you're grieving their loss. And I think that's the thing with my granddad, where it's like, I'm just sad that he's not really my granddad anymore, because I really like my granddad. I really got on with my granddad, loved my granddad, And I still do love my granddad, but like I say, there is, he is there in the home, and he's not really my granddad. Like, he's having, like, he can't get out of chairs. They have a winch to help him out of chairs. Like, it's hard. It's hard. It's difficult. But I'm nervous about seeing him, but then I'm also happy that I'm going to see him, because I don't know how many times I'm going to see him again before we lose him. So, frankly, I'd rather have made an effort and seen him, and maybe it makes his day better as well. He definitely sort of recognised me last time, so maybe seeing me might bring him some joy. I like to think so. I do bring joy into people's lives, obviously. See, I'm trying to laugh my way through the humour, using humour as a crux. Let's talk about other stuff. So in this shed, funnily enough, with my friend Sam, we recorded some drum tracks and filmed them as well. We set a dolly up in here, which is pretty cool. In filming, a dolly is a track that you can move the camera smoothly left or right on, or forwards and backwards on. I guess diagonally as well. I don't give a fuck. So, but anyway, and I'm really excited about that. Recorded 4 tunes, the 3 of which I've written, 1 of which I've arranged. Super excited, and I'm going to start the multi-tracking process, getting other people filmed and recorded. We've got drums, only got drums so far. Next will be the rhythm section, and then we'll get horns. But it's big band. It's a big band project, so that's quite a lot of people, because that's drums, bass, piano, guitar, 5 saxes, 4 trumpets, 4 trombones. So that's a job a lot of people I've got to find to sort of agree to do this. I have lots of friends, and I have a lot of friends who play big band music, because that's how I've made most of my friends, is by playing jazz and big band music. So I think I'm covered. It's the logistics of getting people into a room, because I mean, bass, piano, and guitar, I'll just record them on their own. But I'd want to record all the saxes together, all the trumpets together, all the trombones together. So that's going to be difficult, but we'll make it work. I'm really excited. Speaking of working with Sam, he and Leah Waddington and Jasmine Brown, the 3 of them, multi-tracked some of my saxophone orchestra pieces, and I released it onto YouTube. The first tune that we recorded, which is called "What Sauce?" with an exclamation point. What sauce? So I released that onto YouTube, and it's it's not viral. It's not but it's doing okay. It's got, I think last time I checked, it's got like 70 views, which, to be honest, for a piece of like contemporary classical music, which, I mean, it's not very contemporary classical, it's basically a fanfare for saxophones, that's pretty good, I think, for me. And I've already actually had 2 people reach out to purchase it, which is exciting. So yeah, if you run a saxophone orchestra and you're looking for some new saxophone music, come and ask me for What Sauce. But I've got 2 more pieces that we're uploading, that we've recorded. One called Meow Meow Means, which is already on YouTube in a live version that was recorded back in 2022. And then also another piece called The Galactic Pot Healer, which I wrote for the RNCM Saxophone Day back in November. I hope I can write another piece for saxophone orchestra for this RNCM Saxophone Day. That's the thing. I'm very quickly becoming the saxophone orchestra guy. Like, I've got these 3 pieces I'm putting on YouTube. I've got a piece I recently wrote for the Saxophone Orchestra Manchester, which will be premiering in April. And then I'm thinking about RNCM Saxophone Day. Like, am I just the sax orchestra guy? You know what? I love the saxophone orchestra. I think it's a great orchestra. I think saxophone is a wonderful, versatile instrument, and having like Nino, 2 sops, 3 altos, 3 tenors, 2 barries, and a bass is such a wonderful spectrum of like sound. Yeah, big up the saxophone orchestra. I like writing for it. More people should listen to it. So I'm feeling pretty proud about that. I think I've done a good job. And you know what? Sam recorded and filmed it, and he's done a brilliant job. Big shout out to Sam G Media. Last week I did an advert for Da Capo, which is a trading card, not a trading card game, but a card game that he invented with his mum and maybe some friends. So go check out Da Capo, dacapogame.co.uk. But also Sam G Media. If you ever need any filming or any recording, he's and graphic design. Oh my god, and editing. The boy's a genius. Anyway, let's have a check-in terms of drugs. Like last week, I started taking. Well, last podcast I'd started taking antidepressants. I'm still on them. We're entering week 4, I believe, or maybe last week was week 4, or I started on a Friday, so maybe we're in week 4 now. And apparently weeks 4 to 6 is where it gets weird. So I'm excited about that. Not. But I am interested to see if I see any developments. Because so far, I'm feeling fine, feeling okay, not really noticing a remarkable amount of difference. I think generally I'm sort of more leveled out. I've had a few tics, such as just this one with my thumb where I'll just do this for some reason for ages, and I have this one that I've had for a very long time, but I think it's potentially been exacerbated by taking antidepressants, where I'll quickly turn my head to the side. It's always to the left as well. But I don't know. I've had tics. I've had tics for a very long time. There was a period when I first left university where I started stammering. I had a stutter for a while. It only happened every now and again, but when it did happen, it was like, I ended up having like a panic attack after a couple of them. I remember being in a shopping centre with my parents and my sister in Nottingham, because we'd been to visit my sister in Nottingham, and I just started stammering, and then all of a sudden I was having a panic attack in the middle of the shopping centre. It's bloody awful. Anyway, that happened, but then also I was having this thing where like I would like tense my elbow, and then sometimes my arm would contort, and then I'd have just other tics, just little ones. And I think they're usually stress related. So I don't know if the medication is stressing me out or if it's just bringing that kind of feeling to the fore. I don't know. Or maybe I'm doing a false equivalency and I'm saying that it's caused by the medication, but it might just be as well as, you know what I mean? I don't know. I guess we'll see. But yeah, apparently it's where it gets weird, weeks 4 to 6. So let's see what happens. I highly recommend trying to get help no matter what. You know, if you're struggling, you know, it's one of those things where, like, so the title of today's episode, Don't Be Sad, I Know You Will. That's just the thing of, like, it's well and easy someone saying, don't be sad, or be happy, or, you know, chill out, or any of these kind of things, but that's not how it works. Like, if I could choose not to be sad, I'm pretty sure I'd choose that, you know, and I'm not sad all the time, and I think I'm doing better at the minute. I think maybe the drugs are having an effect, because I do think generally I feel better, but, you know, it comes in waves and troughs, peaks and troughs, waves and whatever nautical metaphor you want to use. Like the tide? No, I don't know. I just think that, you know, it's good to reach out and get help, because, you know, I want to say don't be sad, but I know you will. And actually it's better to accept the fact that right now you feel sad. Accept the fact that you feel down, and, you know, just notice those feelings and sit with them and realize that that's what you're feeling. That's what you're feeling right now, but that's not who you are. If you feel sad, it's because you're feeling sad. It's not because you are a sad person. We are gifted with a multitude of so many feelings. You know, you can't list them all. And some of them don't have words that can describe them. Some of them are so ephemeral that there's no word that means that feeling. Maybe in German, for some reason, they're really good at naming as many specific feelings as possible. But yeah, I think it's important to know that an emotion like sadness is not a state of being, but a transitory process that our brain is going through in a reaction to stimuli right now. But ultimately, as a person, that doesn't define you. And the quote, "Don't be sad, I know you will," is from an outsider artist, which I don't think I could really explain what outsider art is. Basically means, if you're making art or making music, but you're not part of the mainstream, / you never had any formal musical education, you're just making it. It's kind of hard to explain, but there's an artist called Daniel Johnston, and he is incredible. I love him. He passed away in 2017, but he suffered pretty terribly throughout his life with mental illness, specifically bipolar. And yeah, and watching him play live, he's got an NPR concert, Tiny Desk concert back in like 2013, before Tiny Desk became like a big thing. And watching him perform, he's always like shaking his arm and like reading the music and just looking down at the music and just trying to get through it, kind of thing. But some of the pieces of music he has are touching my soul in a way that I just haven't had in a long time. So, I'm using this to segue into my music recommendations for this week, and I'm heavily recommending Daniel Johnston. Really beautiful. And if I had to recommend some songs, one song would be "True Love Will Find You in the End," which I think is possibly his most famous song. And that's where the lyric "Don't be sad, I know you will" comes from. And people often describe Daniel Johnston as having like a childlike quality, and I think this song really exhibits that. It's sort of this childish or childlike wonder about what love is and what love means, and it's really a remarkable song. It's a really lovely song. And then he has another song called "Try to Love," which I think is a beautiful song anyway, but there's this amazing thing in the chorus where he does this sort of like leap up to these notes to sing "Try to Love," and it just, it gets me. Like, it's so beautiful hearing this dude who, when he started out, he would just write and record songs on a terrible little tape recorder and just hand out tapes to people when he was working at McDonald's. It took him like several albums of this before he finally got a professionally made album. Like, he needed to make music. He needed to. It wasn't a pursuit for him that was purely a hobby or purely for money or purely because that's the path that a parent had let him down. Nothing like that. It just felt like art and music and poetry just had to come out of him. It was like coming out of his pores, and that's something that's so commendable, because there's that. Whose quote is it? Is it a Beethoven quote? Shit, I can't remember who said this, but it's something like, to play wrong notes is excusable, to play without passion is inexcusable, or something like that. Something like that. Basically, the quote is saying, you can make a mistake every now and again in music, but if you play without passion, you're not playing music. And to be honest, not to go on a rant about education and music at university and conservatoire level, but I have to say there's a lot of classical musicians who are just playing the dots. And actually, music is the quickest route to emotion that you can elicit with an art form, I think. It just gets you immediately. And to have people not caring about what the emotion they're meant to be conveying while they're conveying it, I just find that very upsetting. The Mean Girls film came out recently, and I haven't seen it yet. This is the Mean Girls, the musical, the movie, even though they just called it Mean Girls, and everyone was kind of surprised that it was a musical, which is a shame because I've been listening to the original Broadway cast recording, and it bops hard. It's so good. Especially a track I really recommend is Revenge Party. I actually also really like the song Meet the Plastics, but Revenge Party is phenomenal as well. It's a really, really good cast album. The original cast are fantastic. Yeah, you should check out that. And when it comes to London in like summer, you should go see it. I'm going to go see it. I'll be right there with you. I've also been listening to a composer. I think she's an American composer, but I believe she like lived in Berlin for most of her life. Called Gloria Coates. Gloria Coates. Gloria Coates. And she wrote some string quartets, and her string quartet number 7, Angels, which also features a pipe organ or a church organ. So it's string quartet and church organ. Just phenomenal. Really brutal music. Really wonderful music. Really enjoyed listening to it. It's a bit of a harder listen. You know, it's not listening to ABBA, but it's really, really fab. Really, really love it. Really, really enjoyed listening to it. And then as a final music recommendation, I know this is 5 pieces of music recommendation, which is very naughty, but please go listen to What Sauce on YouTube by myself, Eden Longson, recorded by Sam G, featuring Sam G, Leah Waddington, and Jasmine Brown. All 3 of them play all 12 parts between them, and I'm really happy with how it sounds. And watch this space because I'm going to release all 3 of my saxophone orchestra pieces as an EP. I think I'm going to call the EP Everything Flows, which is a quote from a philosopher whose name I can't remember. Can't remember which philosopher who said it, but I'm very into the concept of process philosophy and ephemera and there's another word for it as well. But the idea that like nothing exists as what it is, it just currently is in that state, which is quite like anti-Plato, because I think Plato had this idea that there's this realm of forms. So like a perfect chair exists in the realm of forms. And so when you're making a chair, you're trying to get it to you're trying to create it to be like the thing in the realm of forms. Whereas a process philosopher would say that's bollocks, and actually things just exist as they are now, but they won't exist like that forever. And the idea of a chair is just an idea that human beings came up with several, maybe tens, hundreds of thousands of years ago, and in 10 million years' time, the concept of a chair won't exist because there won't be human beings anymore. There will just be, so it just won't exist. So like the idea that like things are what they are is nonsense. Like every single cell in your body changes completely every 7 years. So like even as I look at you now and speak to you now, I am a completely different piece of matter than I was 7 years ago. So I'm really into that. And so there's this saying that you never step in the same river twice because the river is constantly changing. And then that became this saying, everything flows. I really wish I could remember the philosopher's name who said that, but some ancient Greek guy, I think. Anyway, as I always do, I'm going to end with a poem. And I really like this poem. Quite happy with this poem. This poem is called Conversations. And it's about conversations I have with my friends. Anyway, here we go. Conversations. I don't want to board this train, catch this bus, get into my car, or get out of yours. I don't want to put a pause on this meaningless conversation about music, or philosophy, or theatre, or books, or TV shows, or girls, or hopes, or dreams, or that video I saw with that dog, or that time in sixth form, or do you remember that time at uni, or oh my god, how awkward was that? Or I wonder what they're up to now. Or what happens when we die? Or I'm sorry I'm always sad. Or I'm so proud of you. Or I miss your dad too. Or why doesn't she love me? Or can I see you next week? Or want to check out that breakfast place? Or yeah, I think they have vegan options. Or who directed that movie? Or I love you. Or why your opinions on The Last Jedi are wrong. Or whatever. None of it matters. It means the world to me. Anyway, I have been Eden Longson, the big boy with the bigger dreams, coming to you from Stoke-on-Trent. Next time, I will probably be coming to you from London, but who knows? Who can tell the future? Anyway, stay classy, world. All 5 of you who listen to this / watch this, and thank you so much for doing so. If you could leave it a cheeky review, or drop me a like, or subscribe, or I don't know, something, please, anything, that would be lovely. I really appreciate it. All right, peace.